The outer surface of the brain is called the cortex or the cerebral cortex, and we humans have the largest cerebral cortex of any other animal. It is the part of our brain that gives us the intelligence that we have. It's the part that our slowed neotenous brain development has changed the most. And so because of our slow development, we have very large, very well developed cerebral cortexes. A couple things about its structure. You'll notice that the outside of the cerebral cortex is gray and the inside is white. The reason it is that way is because all of the cell bodies are clumped together in the outer part of the cerebral cortex, and so that's called the gray matter, and all of the myelinated axons are found within the inside of the cerebral cortex. And so because myelin is a fatty substance, it's white, it makes it look white. The cerebral cortex, as you can see, is actually very, very thin, but because of the foldings of the gyri, like I mentioned in the previous video, we have much more brain area than you would expect given the size of the circumference of our brains. The brain can be divided into three primary divisions. In your book, it also shows you the forebrain can be divided into three additional divisions. You don't need to know all those five divisions for the test. I just want you to know the three primary ones. The thing to know is the forebrain is the most evolved part of our brain, whereas the midbrain and the hindbrain are less evolved. So our hindbrain functions are very well developed at birth. They're what keeps us alive, and because babies can keep themselves alive, they can breathe, they can eat, their hearts beat. All of those are controlled by hindbrain functions that are very well developed at birth. So the neurological development that you see between birth and early adolescence is actually forebrain development. The midbrain is actually a really, really tiny part of the brain. You can see it's right here. So this is all forebrain, this is all hindbrain, and here's midbrain. The midbrain primarily plays a role in sensory and conducting sensory signals from one part of the brain to the other. Now, the very outside of the cerebral cortex has four different lobes, and those lobes control different aspects of our behavior. The frontal lobe, this purple right here, you can see it right here, so you can see you have two, one on each side in each of your hemispheres. Those control your higher cognitive processing. So planning, decision-making, inhibitory behaviors, inhibiting thoughts are all kind of all of the seat of our intelligence is all forebrain. So it's actually the last part of our brain that's finishing up development into early adolescence. And let's see, there is a little bit of movement that's controlled on the very, very back of your frontal lobe. The lobe right behind your frontal lobe are your parietal lobes, and those are sensory centers that control a lot of your sensation and perception. The back of the brain is occipital lobe, and I guess I'll give a caveat here to the parietal lobes. They primarily control touch types of sensory information. The occipital lobes control vision types of information. And then right here on the side, you can't see it from this view, the green lobe are your temporal lobes, and that's where hearing information is processed.